Good morning. Happy Monday. Look who's back.
It's me. Guess who's back?
That's meteorologist Trevor Roubadeaux. And again for Heather, who's on the last day of her vacation.
Yep.
I almost said extended weekend, which wouldn't be wrong, but she was off on Wednesday for golf and then, anyway. But Trevor, glad to have you here. We know how much you love doing the weather.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
That's why you went to school.
That's why I went to school.
For 4 years, something like that.
That's why I work here.
Yeah.
That's why I do a lot of things. That's why I go outside when I probably shouldn't. With bad storms and stuff. I'm just like, hey, you know what would be a good idea? I know there's like 1-inch hail, but I'm going to go out and sit on the patio.
Oh, yeah, that's what a lot of my meteorology friends like to do. Fascinated by the weather.
Or the Midwestern dad standing on the roof of their house and there's a tornado off in the distance.
Oh.
Instead of being inside where you're probably supposed to be.
Yeah, taking.
Or for me, if I wasn't working or didn't have anything better to do, I'd be out chasing it. I'd be in a car actively going towards the danger instead of staying clear.
Well, to our friends on social media, thanks for spending some time with us on this Monday. Facebook, YouTube, and X is where we are. And we like to hear where you're watching from, your weather observations and things like that. Nothing too crazy weather-wise, right? No hail.
No hail.
To speak
I'd
of,
be
that's
very
good.
shy if there was hail today. I did something very wrong. Oh my goodness.
Pretty calm today, huh?
Yeah, very calm weather overall. We're gonna have a mixture of sun and clouds with warmer temperatures. That's the big thing, really, is the warmer temperatures. We like that, and yeah, maybe a chance for a brief shower or two, maybe even a thunderstorm. Can't be outruled. A quick air mass thunderstorm is certainly possible today. We'll talk about all of that. The week overall looks pretty interesting, but it's interesting in comparison to what we've had recently. In the grand scheme of things, if you compare it to normal, it's not interesting. It's pretty typical for this time of year. It's just a little bit more active from how we probably should be. But it's a good segue into our weather quiz.
Yeah.
This one, which of these is not a real weather phenomenon? You may have heard of each and every single one of these terms: firenado, bombogenesis, and heat lightning. But I am afraid to tell you that as the meteorologist in the room, that one of these terms is not a real thing. It doesn't actually exist, and it's a widely used term that is not correct on the account of it's not a real thing. So we'll give you an opportunity to try to guess which one that is, and then we'll return to that answer after we get into the actual forecast for today, which I'm probably not going to end up spending a whole lot of time on, just because there's not really too much to cover in terms of what we're looking at forecast-wise. We'll start with temperatures. There's a look at them. We're going to warm up pretty steadily today. As I mentioned, the big thing this week is the warmer temperatures. We like that. We're finally going to get back into the 70s and even some low 80s, which is around where we should be. Today, in some spots, will actually be just a little bit above average. Right now, into the higher 50s and 60s are still obviously very early in the morning. I'm expecting them to climb several degrees in the next couple hours. And we'll take a look at radar next. Radar is kind of the next interesting one because it's not as though we are going to be perfectly sunny today with our warmer temperatures. As a matter of fact, we're seeing a mixture of clouds and sunshine today. Now, if you look directly over radar, it doesn't tell the whole story because this is just a direct observation picture overhead, and sometimes the radar doesn't give the whole picture right away. If you look at this, you think it's mostly cloudy everywhere, but there are actually some spots with more overhanging see-through cirrus clouds or even some not so thick stratus clouds. And so we've got a mixture. Some areas are getting mostly cloudy skies, maybe even some overcast for some people. And then other areas we're actually having mostly sunny skies this morning. So it really depends on where you are. The most of my reports that I got in from all of our weather watches this morning that gave us clear skies were off to the east, and areas closer to Lake Michigan had more cloud cover in the forecast this morning. But I looked at the Traverse City camera not that long ago, and it looked plenty sunny not too long ago. I guess I could look at it again right outside our studio, and let's see what we can come up with. Actually, yeah, it looks pretty different from what we saw earlier. So again, that fits in with the forecast I was talking about. Throughout the day today, you'll get a mixture of both clouds and sunshine, and potentially even a little bit of haze mixed in So it won't be entirely sunny, it won't be entirely cloudy, and neither of those things will last for a long period of time today. The next thing is the rain, and if we're going to get any today. And, you know, it's one of those things where this, to me, the rain chances today are quite literally a toss-up, where I don't want to say for certainty if anybody's going to get rain, because there's a very real probability where we just don't get any rain at all today, not even so much as some drizzle. But the possibility is still there. Later in the morning, I think we'll stay dry in the morning, or at least the early morning for probably the next couple hours. Later in the morning, closer to noon, past 11 or so, or at least close to 11, you've got the chance for some isolated showers in the eastern upper, or at least close to the straits, maybe even around Beaver Island, Leelanau, like parts of Northport may even get some brief, like light showers in the early afternoon, late morning. And then in the evening, we'll thin out a lot of our cloud cover. It looks like this model, at least, is showing less cloud cover in the evening, which fits into our mix of sun and clouds forecast for today. And then a few shower chances in the evening in the northern lower. And again, these look like very light shower chances, and they are. But with the inherently warmer temperatures today and the instability associated with our next system, some lift, warmer temperatures, southerly wind, and depending on exactly how much daytime direct heating we get from from the sun in direction to the cloud cover, if we get less cloud cover than anticipated, we could certainly, I think, get a few, maybe even one or two isolated thunderstorms today. These very pop-up thunderstorms that are rather hard to predict. We call them air mass thunderstorms in meteorology, where it's just, it happens, it's real quick, it will downpour, rain, maybe even a few flashes of lightning for probably 5-10 minutes, and then as quickly as it shows up, it just disappears. And those are air mass thunderstorms, very common this time of year, especially when we have instability ahead of a system that's going to arrive later. You can't rule out the possibility for that to happen later in the evening tonight, even a little bit towards sunset. It's definitely possible. You see inland right there. This is around 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Still the potential for a few isolated showers. The real chance of rain, though, is going to be after that. Well past the midnight hours of tonight, towards tomorrow morning. I say tonight, but this is really much closer to tomorrow morning than it is tonight, kind of exactly where you draw the line from tonight to tomorrow morning. Technically speaking, tomorrow morning would be anything past midnight, but most people would consider that just tonight. Anyhow, very late tonight into tomorrow morning, a round of showers will come through. Now, this system looks pretty strong as it's arriving. This is a warm front, but it just completely dissipates, or looks like it's going to rather dramatically weaken as it comes across Lake Michigan, which isn't surprising at all on account of the fact that the lake waters are still relatively cold. And then we'll have a brief period of some showers, probably a few embedded thunderstorms in the morning. And then as quickly as it gets here, it just kind of falls apart. And then tomorrow, the afternoon and evening is an exact repeat of today. Southerly wind, warmer temperatures, mixture of sun and clouds, with the potential for some afternoon and evening isolated showers or air mass thunderstorms. So today and tomorrow are essentially carbon copies of one another weather-wise. The only difference is that we've got a much higher chance for rain and even a few storms tomorrow morning, particularly west of I-75 close to Lake Michigan. But the afternoon and evening looks identical. And then I picked the wrong graphic. Sunshine, cover this real quick. No one particular day looks overly cloudy, with the exception being Wednesday, but no day is inherently mostly sunny or fair either, because we've got on and off rain chances every single day of the week, a rather active stretch ahead, and so you can't count on any one day to be overly sunny, but there will be stretches, or at least brief periods on some days of this week where we could see a lot of sunshine before cloud cover inevitably moves in. Michigan weather, it changes on the dime all the time. So kind of a mixture of sun and clouds all week this week. And then we get towards the end of our forecast, we look at the 7-day. And I think the 7-day really shows it best. You look at the extended forecast, you see a lot of storms and gray and rain chances in there. But inherently, this is really just your typical late spring and early summer type of weather, where you've got the pop-up chances for some showers and thunderstorms, but no one particular day is going to have a ton of rain, right? The best way to describe it is somebody somewhere is going to get rained on every single day of the week, with the exception being maybe Friday. That will probably change. I would not be surprised if rain chances enter back into the forecast on Friday. We'll keep an update on that. But basically every single day this week, we have good chances for isolated to scattered chances for both showers and thunderstorms because of the warmer temperatures. The one day where it looks like we'll have the most widespread chances will be on Wednesday, particularly in the northern lower, where it looks like we'll have a system coming in from the south, and we could have a lot of rain chances for almost everybody for a good majority of that day. Otherwise, very pop-up, showery, stormy type weather, which again is rather typical for this time of year. We just haven't seen it a whole lot recently because we've been so cold. We haven't had a whole lot of sunshine, and it's been hazy, and it just feels like every other day there's something else that we don't like to see. But I think overall it's going to be a good week. You've got your chances for rain in there, but nothing crazy.
Well, we'd love to see people comment. So thanks to people like Paul watching from Rogers City. Joel is saying good morning again. He was with us at 6:20 this morning.
Yep.
66 there in Pleasanton, mostly sunny. He's heading to work soon. And B for the quiz. And there goes Trevor. Where are you going?
Grab my water bottle.
Just need some water, okay.
I'm very thirsty.
We have Mark saying good morning from Fremont, Indiana. Beautiful day here, going to be in the upper 80s. Next couple of days there, lots of mowing to do, he says.
Oh, yeah. I got to bring
that.
up the mowing forecast, actually.
Hopefully, well,
I should have refilled this.
sometimes, yeah, it flares up those allergies, but hopefully you don't have to deal with that, Mark. We have Paula saying good morning from Boyne Falls. An unbelievable 68 degrees and mostly sunny. And yes, she's talking hockey. One more chance for the Oilers, she says.
One more. We'll see if they can do it. I think they can. I certainly think they can. It's possible. We can talk about that briefly at the end. I won't go as long today.
Hockey talk is
but yeah,
coming up, Paula.
We can have a segment on hockey talk at the end.
Robert is saying good morning. It's 64 and sunny in Indian River. It's 66 there for Nancy in East Jordan. Always good to hear from Nancy. Same thing with Jackie in terms of always nice to hear from her. 59 in Kalkaska. The sun is out. Swimming aerobics today is what she's up to.
Nice.
Have fun, Jackie.
Swimming is such an underrated exercise.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's like rock. It's up there. I put it up there with rock climbing as like one of the best exercises you could do if you want to just get in fit, like get in shape. Swimming is really good, and so is rock climbing.
Well, Jackie knows what's up, so have fun, Jackie. Gail saying good morning from cloudy Kingsley, 65 degrees. Gibbs saying hi to Paul. Susan saying good morning again. It's sunny and 64 in Kalkaska. And Gail's guess is heat lightning. So is Susan's. So is Paula's. And Alice is with us here on this Monday, our friend and weather watcher. It's 60. She's saying hi to the crew here. She's in Alpena, and she's going with bombogenesis. Did I say that right, Trev?
Yep.
Okay. Christine is saying good morning. It's partly sunny and 61 in Akiak. Are we still getting the smoke from the Canada wildfires, Trevor?
Yeah, we are. I can actually put that on the screen. I didn't include that in the forecast, but it's one of those things where I've kind of stopped talking about it every single day because, as I've said before, I consider the smoke is in the forecast every day until it's not, because these Canadian wildfires can burn for literally weeks at a time, constantly without stopping. And so whether we get the smoke or not really it just depends on the wind direction and nothing else. Oh no, this isn't the right one. Actually, I don't think this isn't the right forecast either. Where's the one I normally use? Trying to find it. We have like 4 different smoke graphics, and some of them are not as good as the others. Like this one in particular isn't always great. Oh my gosh, where the heck is it? I think I said this so many times before. This is what happens whenever you're not organized. You just lose things. I will multiple times, like basically every weekend, I will spend a large portion of my time forecasting, just trying to find the right graphics. Like if I want to use a unique graphic that I don't use every day, it'll sometimes take me like several weeks to find it. Not weeks. What in the world? It'll
Trevor,
take me
go ahead.
several minutes to find it.
Yeah, go ahead and look for that. I'll keep reading the comments here. My mom's saying, good morning, Facebook friends. Have a good week. Hi, Mom. Jackie's guessing heat lightning. Ethan is saying good morning. It's 70 degrees and sunshine now, but severe storm potential overnight, tonight, and into tomorrow morning. And Ethan, no need for an apology. That was all good on Friday. We know that you like to tune in, and we appreciate that. Susie Q is saying good morning. It's 62 in Frederick. She's thanking you, Trevor, for a beautiful week. We had a great weekend in Lewiston with family at a car cruise and a car show for Father's Day. Plus, we got a huge trophy for our 65 GTO. I think it's a red one, I think. But anyway, I'm
Red's my favorite
sure
color.
that's exciting.
Right
yeah.
on if it's red.
Alice is saying hi to Gib. Susie Q is guessing heat lightning, so is Ethan. Jim, I think he's going off of Trevor's search for water, saying it's good to hydrate this time of year.
Yeah.
Do you find
I'm
what you
already
needed,
preparing,
Trev?
especially since we're going to be, having warmer temperatures. And in particular, part of my forecast in this morning was it's going to get really humid later this week. And so if you haven't been using the AC, you may want to be prepared to start using it.
Do you find what you needed?
With the near surface smoke?
Yeah.
Well, no, not exactly. Well,
Not yet?
actually, yes. And I have a theory. So this forecast, the one that I normally use, just doesn't show any near surface smoke, which I think is a load of schnitzel, because there's literally haze out right now. So my theory on that is this is a graphic of near surface smoke. The smoke just it must just be more elevated then in the upper atmosphere rather than it is closer to the ground.
Okay.
And the air quality alerts that are issued are usually air quality for smoke closer to the ground, like the near surface smoke. So if it's in the sky, like if it's further in the atmosphere and not close to the ground, then we don't typically issue the air quality alerts. That might be what this is. It's showing like no smoke in the forecast, but like again, I know that's not true because you could walk outside and see haze in some areas this morning. So all you have to do is look up. And just to point out this real quick, I didn't load this in the forecast, but I'll put it now. This is what I was just talking about, the dew point trend. So last week, like nothing, very dry and comfy. And then look at the week ahead. Today, not too bad, dry and sunny, comfy. But then each day by day, we get a little bit more humid, with the exception being Friday. Late Thursday into Friday, which looks to be the coldest days of the week simply because we've got a cold front coming from Canada. But then after that, we begin ridging where it looks like we'll be very humid on Saturday and Sunday. Humid or very humid. And while I'm not positive on it yet because we're still like over a week out or we're close to a week out, it looks like some temperatures on either Saturday or Sunday could be in the 90s for the first time of 2025. So we could have very, very warm temperatures right around the corner along with very, very humid conditions. We'll keep an update on that because, again, you're probably going to need your AC later this week. And without further ado,
Going to get sticky. Or find your nearest pool, lake, pond, stream.
Yeah, dehumidifier, whatever you want to do.
And so, Christine, hopefully that answered your question there about the smoke there. We also are hearing from Thomas saying good morning. It's 67. It's sunny there on Bois Blanc Island. A great lake day. What's the water temperature in the Straits? He wants to know, Trevor.
We do have a thing for that. We have a buoy temperature graphic. Now, whether I'll be able to find it or not is an entirely different.
We can keep reading comments. How does that sound?
Yeah, yes. I'll be listening.
And then Thomas's guess is heat lightning, saying God bless. Ethan, you're welcome. I see your comment. Susie Q said it was my husband's, black GTO, but she has a red 65 GTO.
Red 65 GTO?
So it's a black and a red one.
My best friend owns a GTO, but I don't know what model it is. Anyway, GTOs are pretty sick.
And Ethan is going on vacation at a good time near 100-degree air temperature on Saturday out there in Iowa.
Oh, gross.
And Ethan's saying, Trevor, I'm guessing with the smoke, it's because that model run shows surface smoke, whereas smoke is present in the upper levels. That's what Trevor was saying.
That's what I was just talking about.
That's probably why it's not
Meteorologist minds think alike.
And Ethan said, I have that issue in my system too. And Christine is thanking you, Trevor, for the smoke explanation.
So here's a look at our buoy water temperatures. There it is. It took me a while to find it, but generally speaking, in the Straits, do actually tend to be, like, they tend to warm up before everybody, like all the other water temperatures do, because that's the most concentrated area of water. That's also not that deep. Once you get like really close to the straits, the water isn't that deep. It's still deep, but it's not as deep as everywhere else. So you look at parts around northern Michigan, both Lake Huron and Lake Michigan, you still got temperatures in the 40s, even some high 30s still. Lake Superior still in the 30s. Like, yeah, this is the time of year where the water temperatures are still very much cold. Water temperatures don't really get back up into what most people would consider tolerable until like August and early September.
Yeah.
That's when the water temperatures get back up into normal for the summertime, tolerable, which is like high 60s and low 70s, even some mid 70s. The water temperatures almost, like, I don't think I've ever seen a time where they get into the 80s, at least for our area. They may do down south. Lake Erie probably does. Maybe southern Lake Michigan probably does. But in northern Michigan, the water never gets that warm up here because it's not exposed to, it's not that warm long enough here for that to happen. So we usually cap out into like the 70s, which is actually very comfortable water temperatures. Some people it's actually still too cold because water temperature and air temperature feel very different. Like, you could go outside in 60-degree weather and you're like, oh, this is fine. But 60-degree water temperature is actually like that is like, you'd be shocked how cold it feels in comparison. So 70 degrees is pretty comfortable. Right now, we're still in the 50s and 40s, which is very cold. If you were to jump into Lake Michigan right now, it'd probably be very cold.
Yeah, I'm going to stay out of Lake Michigan and Lake Huron and Lake Superior right now.
Still in the 30s.
Yeah. So it looks like we're all caught up, Trevor. So what is the answer to the weather quiz?
Yeah, so the answer is heat lightning. And this is one of those ones that, as a meteorologist, it drives me nuts when people still use this term because it doesn't exist. Heat lightning, the term, quote-unquote, heat lightning, is used to describe, like, especially in the summertime, is used to describe those flashes of lightning that you see where you can't see the bolt and it looks like it's just in the clouds and then you don't hear anything. And so like, oh, heat lightning. Heat lightning is just lightning that's far enough away that you can't hear the thunder. That's all it is. Heat lightning is not a thing. Heat lightning is just lightning. There's no such thing as heat lightning. It doesn't exist. Obviously, everybody knows what a firenado is. And then bombogenesis, which actually was a guess that a lot of people went with. Bombogenesis is just another way to describe a bomb cyclone, which is actually something that we've had in a quiz before, which is a real term. And it's used to describe a low-pressure system that drops by 1 millibar every hour over the course of... the technical is either over 12 hours or 24. I've heard two different things, to be honest. Sometimes I don't actually know the full. It's either a low pressure system that drops 12 millibars in 12 hours or 24 in 24 hours. Either which way, bombogenesis is just the process of a bomb cyclone, which is a real thing. Brendan, the only one that got it right this morning, and he told me, he said he had heard before that heat lightning was not a real thing. So that's how he knew.
Yeah, I think our former meteorologist, Mark Watkins, informed me of that years ago. And before we get to hockey talk, Trevor, a very special person in your life, is chiming in. It's your dad this time. And he's saying...
I was like, yeah, but my mom, she's working.
Right.
I forgot. My dad totally just like exists and lives and breathes.
Your dad is saying good morning, Brendan and Trevor. I hope
He'd be reporting from work, probably.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, he's saying, I hope all the dads had a great weekend. Yeah, I called my dad yesterday, and he was going to take Benji on a walk. So
nice.
That's how he was celebrating Father's Day.
My dad, unfortunately, had to work. I called him. I wasn't sure. I lose track. He works every other weekend. He doesn't work every weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I lose, like, when I don't pay attention, I lose track of what weekend he works and which one he doesn't. So I was like, do you work this weekend? He's like, yeah, I do. I was like, oh, that stinks.
Oh, and he got a candy bar from church. My dad did. So
nice.
So he loves candy, so that's what he got. And the card that I sent him got there late. So. Well, hopefully we'll be getting there today. So, and then Ethan said, I was always told 24 millibars in 24 hours.
See, that's what I was told by my overhead professor, the lead professor at the one who runs over everything. His name's Dave Fleury at Iowa State University. He said 24 and 24, but I've heard elsewhere that it's 12 and 12, and I was like, well, I mean, 12 and 12, you multiply that by 2, and it still meets the 24 by 24 requirement. But I originally was also told 24 and 24, so that's kind of what I lean towards as well.
Shall we enter hockey talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're already at 9 o'clock, and I don't want to go as long as I did last time, because I rambled for a very long time. But what I will say, for those who did pay attention or did not pay attention to Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, that game was essentially, in my opinion, I didn't think we saw anything entirely crazy in that game. In the fact that we saw what we've seen basically the entire series, and that was Florida Panthers domination. The difference this time is that the Oilers didn't have the pushback that they did in other games. I saw a crazy stat this morning that after the conclusion of Game 5, the Panthers have led for over 200 minutes of this series, and the Oilers have only led for 30. So between all 5 games, including all the overtimes in every game, there's been a total of almost 18 periods played, and the Panthers have led for over 10 of those periods, and the Oilers have only led for 1.5 of them, right? So the other thing that I will say is that I've said this before, but like the Panthers we've seen at this point, I don't think it'd be a shock to anyone at this point to just say the Panthers are clearly the better team. We've seen through 5 games they are obviously the better team at this point. But that doesn't mean that they're going to win. The Oilers could still, dude, it's the Oilers. They could still win this thing in the next 2 games. We've seen multiple examples in the past of how the best team and the team that wins are not always the same thing, right? Like that's how sports works sometimes, is that you could have a team that is clearly better than the other one and has proven that they're better than the other one. That doesn't mean that they'll win every time. A good example, if we're on the topic of hockey, a really good example of that was the Gold Olympics in the 90s, the miracle on ice when the United States beat Russia in the gold medal match. Like, you play that game 10 times over, Russia wins that probably 9 times, or maybe even 10 times. But that was the one time that the U.S. did win. Were U.S. the better team? No. Everybody who knew hockey back then knew that Russia was 100% the better team, and they just lost because you're not going to win every game. The Oilers have come down from series in this playoff run and have also won 2 games multiple times in this playoff run. They were down 2-0 in round 1 and won 4 games straight to win against the Kings. And then in the second series against the Golden Knights, they won 2, lost 1 barely, and then won another 2. And against the Dallas Stars, they lost game 1 and won the next 4, right? So it's like they're capable of doing it. All they have to do to win the Cup is to win the next 2. They've won 2 consecutive games 6 different times in this playoff run alone. They can easily do it. Just because the Florida Panthers are by far the better team and they've proven that doesn't mean that the Florida Panthers are going to win on default. So that's what I will say. The last thing that I will say, though, is Brad Marchand. Don Sweeney, who is the general manager of the Boston Bruins, might be the biggest idiot in the world right now because he traded Brad Marchand in division to the Panthers, and now he's turned into a 6-headed monster and is just destroying the Oilers in this series. He has 6 goals in 5 games. And one of the discussions that I had with somebody is that they had thought that Brad Marchand wasn't going to be that good of a player for the Panthers because of the fact that he is an excess in a role that they already have. And the people, this is how I know that there's so many people that talk to me about hockey that I just know they don't watch. I know they don't. If your opinion on Brad Marchand getting traded to the Panthers was, well, he's just another rat, you don't watch hockey. Brad Marchand, I've said this for a long time, is a really, really good role player. He can do anything. For the longest time, he was just the annoying rat on the Boston Bruins because that's what they needed him to be. But then he gets sent to the Panthers where they already have multiple annoying punk players on that team. We call them rats people who, like, they're scummy. They get away with a bunch of dumb calls. They do stuff behind the ref's back and get away with stuff that's very questionable. Sam Bennett, Aaron Ekblad, Matthew Tkachuk. People that tell me that Aaron Ekblad isn't a rat, yes, he is. Yes, he is. He just isn't as big of a rat as Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk. And now they have Brad Marchand, the Rat King himself. How many times have I said the word rat in the last, like, minute and a half? But the Brad Marchand comes to this team and he's like, well, I don't really need to be that on this team because they already have that. So then, for the first time in like 10 years, he gets to reach into his hat of role-playing, and he's like, let's see, what does this team need? Defensive powerhouse? Nah, we've already got Sasha Barkov and Anton Lundell, who's Mini Barkov. Mini Barkov is Anton Lundell, right? So they've got two defensive powerhouses plus their own defensive players. Let's try again. High-end goal scorer? Well, we've got enough of that already, but depth scoring is still good, right? Ooh, what's this? Odd man specialist and breakaway goal scoring specialist? Let's go with that. And then he struts into the Stanley Cup final with his 6-headed Hydra mask on and scores 6 goals in 5 games. Don Sweeney is the biggest idiot in GM hockey right now. You traded away a guy that could probably win the Conn Smythe. I don't think he's going to. I think it's probably going to be Sam Bennett. But he could win the Conn Smythe, and you traded him away for a conditional second-round pick. Don Sweeney's an idiot. Anyway, I think the Panthers are going to win Game 6. They're at home. They've got every advantage in the world. The Oilers are just not the better team. But again, like I said, we had that long discussion. The Oilers could still win. They could. They could. They've won 2 games in a row multiple times. And just because they haven't been the better team doesn't mean that they can't still win it all. Just like the Miracle on Ice, the United States did against Russia when they won the gold medal. They can still win. And I have learned enough times now that I'm not going to doubt the Oilers. I don't want to sit here and say there's no way the Oilers can win. Because I've said that before and I've gotten burned so many times. So now I'm going to go with the Oilers can win. They definitely can. I just don't think they will. Now we got to gear up for Panthers and Oilers Game 6, which is tomorrow. Yeah, that's all I really got to say. We can go back to the double. Yeah, there we go. This last part isn't hockey talk. Well, it is hockey talk, but it's me complaining. I know that the travel between the Oilers and the Panthers is very far because you're going from South Florida to Edmonton, which is ridiculous. It's a very long travel time. I hate the fact that they put 3 days in between games instead of 2. Like, there should be a game tonight, and there's not. I have to wait another day, and it makes me mad. But yeah. I suggest you watch. Game 6 will be very good if you have access to I think it's airing on TNT, and I think it's on HBO Max too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on HBO Max and TNT. So if you have access to any of those, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. should be Game 6. Yeah.
And Susie Q talking about how you explain hockey with great enthusiasm.
It's my life outside of my life. My life is weather, and my life outside of weather is hockey.
All right, well, thank you, Trevor, and thanks, everybody, for joining us here. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 4:30 to 7. Heather's going to be back from vacation.
Heather.
Hopefully nice and
And
rested.
also Madison.
She will be. Have a great day, everybody.